Season's greetings and happy holidays. My name is Ben and welcome back to the bench for another episode of our 12 Sprues of Kit-mas holiday build series. Today we are moving on with day number 9 and I am super excited to see what we have in store for us on this installment. So let's go ahead and grab the box and check it out. So far the kits have been awesome. I've really been enjoying the time on the bench here. As you can see, we finished off the first and second rows here on the box. We just have the last row of 4, so we are in the home stretch. I don't know what we're going to get at it today, but I'm hoping it's going to be just as much fun, if not a bit more, than episode 8, which was absolutely awesome. Let's go ahead and punch on through here and find out what we're going to be building. Feel around in here, grab that label. There we go. Let's go ahead and pull that one out. And it looks like we're going to be building, drum roll please, the F9F Panther by Hasegawa. This is the -2 model, so this should be kind of fun. I've been a big fan of the Panther ever since the movie Bridge Over Tokori. Saw that when I was a kid and I absolutely fell in love with the Panther. It's just such a neat looking little jet, you know? So this is going to be fun. The parts and pieces here on the Hasegawa kit look okay. There's finely recessed panel lines. I don't imagine there'd be that much detail there in the cockpit since it's a little bit on the older side for Hasegawa, but I still think it looks pretty good. In terms of markings, we've got some very colorful markings here. The decal sheet is quite large. I don't really see a lot of stencils, but we do have some great looking markings. If we look at the instructions, we can see we've got 2 different versions we can build. We've got a glossy blue version and this light gold gray over white version. I'll probably end up doing the gold gray version because you never see a panther in that color scheme. Usually, yeah, maybe cougars and whatnot, but I hardly have ever seen a panther in the gold gray. The only issue is these red markings here are going to be a real pain to go ahead and apply if we use the decals. So instead of using decals, I'm thinking, let's go ahead and paint them. That's going to be challenging. It's going to be fun, but I think it's going to look a lot better for that particular version. Other than that, though, parts look pretty clean. We don't have any detail there for the cockpit, so you know what I'm going to do? I hardly ever do this, but I'm going to go ahead and paint up the pilot that comes in the kit. Toss him inside, hoping to obscure the lack of detail. So we'll just go ahead and throw the decals there onto the instrument panels because there's literally no detail whatsoever. Then we'll paint up the pilot and glue him on in. Big shout out to Panzerman Bill. He actually gave me the idea to put a figure in one of my aircraft. I very rarely do that. Like I said, I'm not really a figure painter. I want to get better at it, and I do have some plans to paint more figures, but I'm very inexperienced. So we're going to go ahead and just try our luck with that, and we're going to paint up the pilot, stick him inside. So thank you, Bill, for the suggestion. Hopefully I can go ahead and get this pilot all painted up and it'll look decent. We'll also close up the cockpit because there's very little detail in there. There's no reason to have it open. So let's go ahead and jump in here to our first time lapse. I want to start off with some basic painting, get all the parts and pieces installed, get the sub-assemblies ready to go, paint up the pilot, get everything primed, and then we'll come in with some pre-shade of NATO black and we'll see you back here in just a few. Let's go ahead and get the party started. Let's do it. All right, we are back, guys, and as you can see, we've got the pre-shade here, and we also have the first layer of insignia white for the undersurface and for the tops of the flaps. Went ahead and did a pre-shade of native black, and it's okay. It's not the best, but it was really quick and very roughly applied. We're going to overcoat it anyway, so it should be okay. In terms of the pilot, guys, I went ahead and I did paint him up. I'm not really adept at painting figures, but what I tried to do is what I believe is called zenithal, where I primed black, and then I came in with some medium gray, and then I came in with some white just straight down on top of the figure to go ahead and make some artificial shadows, midtones, and highlights. I don't know if it really worked, but it was fun doing it. So you know what? This is like the 4th figure I've painted in probably the last 8 years, maybe. So, you know, it's not great, but it'll work. Then I went ahead and just did some detail painting on that, did some block painting with some colors, and I think that is good enough. Glued them inside, and the cockpit is all sealed up. So even if the figure is not that great, you're not going to be able to see much anyway because it's obscured by the cockpit glass. So that's okay by me. Let's go ahead though and move on to the next phase here. We're going to go ahead and apply the gold gray for the top coat, and then we're going to go ahead and get the red color painted in for the stripes on the fuselage, on the tail, on the wingtip tanks, and also on the front nose. So that's going to be a lot of masking. It's going to be a lot of painting, and I'm hoping that it goes over well enough. Besides, it's just an ornament, right? So it's not going to be scrutinized and looked at very much, maybe, you know, a couple of weeks out of the year. So it's not going to be that big of a deal. Anyway, let's jump on there. We're going to use our mission models light gold gray. We're going to use some aqueous red, and then we're going to come in, we're going to mask off with some Tamiya tape and just hope for the best, guys. Let's keep it going. All right, so we are back and we have the red painted on. We've got the gold gray. We've got the insignia white. Came out okay, honestly. I like how this looks. It was a little tricky to go ahead and get those red stripes even, and that took a little bit more time than I anticipated, but patience paid off here, and I think it looks pretty striking, so I'm happy with the markings. I did find a reference photo here and a couple of different write-ups on this particular unit. That's ATU, I think 206, this Advanced Training Unit. It looks like the tip tanks were painted with the same red, but they did not match up on either side. They were, I guess, hand painted and they were just kind of asymmetric. So I tried to replicate that here, always keeping the same amount of stripes, just spaced them out a little differently per each wing tank. I think that actually worked out decently. It looks fairly close to the references, so I'm good. We're going to move on now to the next stage of painting. And really all we have left to do, guys, we have to paint on the silver leading edge markings for the wings, for the tail, and for the ailerons. That's got to be done because almost all Panthers I've seen have that silver strip right along those leading edges and also the very tip of the tank. So I think we're on the good path, guys. We're going to be able to get this all painted up. So let's go ahead and jump into our last time lapse. We're going to get all the painting finished up there. Then we're going to apply our gloss coat, and then we're going to go ahead and decal everything. And once that is dry, we'll gloss coat it again to seal them up, and then we'll weather. I'm probably going to go ahead and go back to the AK panel liners as a sludge wash. That looks decent enough and it's quick and it's easy. So I'll do that, and then after that is dry, I'll overcoat it with a semi-flat coat, and we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up. So we'll see you back here in just a few, guys. Let's go ahead and finish off the Panther. All right, guys, we are back. It took about 11 and a half hours of accumulated time here on the bench for the Panther. Not too bad. There was a lot of intricate masking and all that, so I'm actually surprised it didn't take longer. But yeah, it is a very, very nice looking ornament. Let me go ahead and grab it for you here. I think it's the best ornament I have yet on the tree, and here it is. So this is the ATU 206 Panther-2 model here by Hasegawa, 1/72nd scale, of course. And yeah, I like it. I think it's a very striking model. I did add that pilot in there, so that's a first for me, at least for the last couple of years. And then of course I've got my hook, and I can go ahead and put this on the tree. You will notice though it does kind of sit a little bit tail low. I'll put it on a low branch so you can see it. It's all good. Give you a quick zoom in here. I did not go too heavily on the weathering because I honestly just wanted to try out painting those red lines. So that was kind of the main focus of that. You can see the tip tanks here. We have those red lines. They do not match up on either side, but that is by design because that is how it is in the references. But the center stripes do match up as close as I could get them. So that's awesome. We have the red on the tail, the red on the flaps as well. And then we have that red on the front nose. That was a little bit challenging to paint, but everything else worked out okay. Mission model paints just don't seem to work very well for me. The aqueous red went on no problem, but the mission model light gold gray and insignia white didn't really flow very well. Also, I used some Tamiya tape and painted on that black stripe right there on the air brakes, so that looks pretty cool. Little closer zoom in, you can see the pilot. He is in there. He's just kind of hanging out in the cockpit. There's not much really going on there, so it draws a little bit of attention to it, but not too much. I think it works out pretty decently. So thank you, Bill, again for the idea. But like I said, guys, we are all finished up with day number 9. I'm absolutely a huge fan of the Panther, and this is a very different color scheme for an F9F, and this is going to look really cool on the tree. Very striking with that red, gray, and white. So we're going to go ahead and just call it quits here. We're going to move on pretty much right after this, right on to build day 10. We're going to draw that kit. We're going to jump in there and see what we can do. Also, let me go ahead and say, I know it is Christmas tomorrow, so Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Hopefully you get some kits under the tree for you guys, and I'll see you back here on Monday for episode number 10. Until then, you know the drill. Go out there, get yourself some bench time, have some fun, build something cool, and we'll see you back here on the next episode of the 12 Sprues of Kit-mas here on Ben Builds. Thanks so much, everybody. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you soon.